Hello, hello. I'm Elizabeth Inman with Federal Employee Benefit Coordinators. Welcome to our podcast. This is kind of a unique situation. I'm so excited to be here with you today. We're actually recording our podcast as normal, but we're also going to have video of this that'll be available on our Federal Employee Benefit Coordinators Facebook page, Instagram, and on YouTube. We have an exciting guest today. I am so excited to have the president of GEHA here, right smack dab in the middle of open season. Can you believe it? So, Mr. Nizza, I'm so excited that you are here. Art, can you just kind of tell me a little bit about yourself and GEHA for us?
Yeah, I very much appreciate the invite. I'm happy to be here. So Art Nizza is my name. I've been at GEHA as the CEO for a little over a year now. 35 years of healthcare experience in integrated delivery systems, now on the payer side. GEHA is a long-standing OPM in the OPM space, and we've been here 86 years. So clearly a tremendous legacy. Started by postal workers who were looking to help each other out relative to their healthcare expenses. And I think, one of the things that makes us special, frankly, is the fact that we're a voluntary employee benefit association. So for some of your listeners who may not know what that is, we're not just a not-for-profit, but we're a member benefit organization. And in fact, 51% of my board is composed of members. So they have GEH health insurance.
Now, Art, I want you to know that I started in the Postal Service in 1986. For several years, I had GEHA as my coverage, and you just told me about a half a dozen facts I never knew. That is amazing information. And might I say CEO, not president, but CEO. So I'm even more honored that you're here. So no, I did not know those things. Thank you for telling me that. Started by postal employees. That's pretty cool. Well, we're smack dab in the middle of open season right now, and you know firsthand how important this period of time is for federal and postal employees. So what are some of the top tips that you'd like to share to help all federal and postal employees maximize their benefits?
I'm going to give you an old phrase, and I'm old enough. I come from the East Coast, and there used to be Sims was a store, and the motto of the store was "An educated consumer is our best customer." And I would say that's the motto that I would have for open season and for understanding both FedBIP and the FEHB side. And I'll give you a little analogy. So I liken it a little bit to car shopping. And so, when you're looking for a car, not too long ago, I needed to get a car. This was a couple of years ago. And one of the things I needed to know was, okay, so what type of car did I need to get? And I needed to know a little bit about my patterns. And around that time, I actually needed to go on gravel roads. And so I decided I needed a truck. And I needed to understand a little bit my needs and what I was looking to do going forward. I think that is so true of somebody in open season looking to maximize the value of their dollar. You need to know a little bit about yourself and whether you have chronic conditions, whether you're planning perhaps on having a baby, maybe some surgeries in the future. The second thing I think it's really important to take some time to do is there's a lot of vocabulary out there. And, if I go back to the car example, as I was looking at trucks, I needed to understand what off-road was and what four-wheel drive is and what all-wheel drive is. And, you have to spend a little bit of time to be that educated consumer. And so I would very much encourage your listeners to think about things like premium and co-pays and deductibles and co-insurances. And I know, it can seem like a maze, and GEHA has people that can help you walk through that. You can Google some of that on your own, but you do need to have a little bit of the vocabulary. And then the last thing, and perhaps the most important, you need to shop around. You simply need to put the work in. So many federal employees, frankly, just default to the plan that they had the year before. But not only are you making changes perhaps in your life and contemplating things, but everybody in the OPM space, all of the different payers, whether it's on FEHB or FedBIP, we're making changes too. And so you need to spend some time and shop around. I mean, I think your listeners might be surprised. So if you're looking at premiums on family premiums, that could be an $18,000 swing between premiums between different plans in the FEHB space. $18,000 for a family, especially in these times, is a huge amount. And I just encourage them to understand where that extra premium is going and what it means to their finances and the value that they get out of their benefits.
Art, thank you for that information. It's exactly why I was so excited to have you on here, because here at Federal Employee Benefit Coordinators, we're all about the education. I agree with what you said wholeheartedly. And to have, the CEO of one of the leading providers for us federal and postal employees to tell us to shop around, I mean, that's a man of confidence that understands the company he is leading and what benefits you've got available to us, giving us some solid information, because education is power. And I just thank you so much. That's why we try really hard at Federal Employee Benefit Coordinators to focus first on the education. I myself, getting ready for retirement, I did a poor job of that. I don't mind telling people that. And I was kind of left on my own when it come to open seasons. I didn't know who to call. I didn't know how to shop around. You guys have done everything you can to make it as easy as possible for us. But I will tell you, and we started this off in our introductions together, one of the things I love about GEHA is any of the organizations I go to, whether it's unions, whether it's professional organizations, you guys have somebody in person there for us. And I know that's a huge cost to you and it's a huge expense, but there's nothing that beats that one-on-one. Well, my little boy has asthma. He takes these medications. Can you tell me how that fits in with your plan, or how your plan fits into that? And you guys have always done that, and I appreciate that very, very much. So if I could ask you the next question, Art. What are the top areas that you think are overlooked when it comes to the federal and postal employee benefits? And why is it important to keep those at the forefront when you're selecting benefits?
Yeah, because, if you look at GEHA, for example, we have 5 different medical plans and 2 dental plans. And we've customized those medical plans for federal employees that are different, that go through their different life stages of federal employment. And so it really is important that you're able to basically look at our portfolio of products and find those benefits that are important to you. So one of the benefits, for example, if you're about to go into Medicare or in the Medicare space, we have one of our plans that helps subsidize some of that premium. If you didn't look, if you didn't, spend any time and you just, chose a benefit, then you wouldn't be maximizing that. The other thing is we have, in a number of our plans, we have wellness incentives, and they can amount to a significant amount of money, basically encouraging federal employees to take care of themselves and to get the checkups that they need and to be proactive about their health care. And we encourage that, and we put money to encourage that. But if you didn't look, if you didn't spend any time, or if you didn't ask those questions, then you may not know about the Medicare subsidy, or you may not know about the benefits, the financial benefits that you get for some of the health and wellness activities that we want you to do. Because again, as a member benefit organization, I mean, yes, we want to be a good insurance company, but more important, we want our members to be healthy and well.
Wow. I mean, you just made the whole show to me with just the answer to that question right there. And again, the things you said, considering our life stages, but then considering the plans and that you've got specialized plans for specific reasons, that is not easy information to go onto a comparison tool or even to do your research and get answers to those kind of things. And quite frankly, I'll just tell you, as a past federal employee myself, you said things that I wouldn't have even known to ask, which is why I'm so grateful that you came on with us live today so that we can get this information out there. Now, I'm going to ask you one of my favorite questions. I'm all the time going back thinking, where were you when I first got started? So if this was my very first open season, Art, what would you tell me?
I would tell you what I started off with, which is take the time to. This is your money, right? So the government will subsidize some of that premium, but this is your hard-earned dollar. And at the end of the day, do you want to be in a situation where perhaps for the same family premium, you're spending that 18,000, you're the one who's spending that 18,000 more than another plan? So I would say invest the time in yourself and in the value you get, and therefore shop around. And as you mentioned earlier, I'm confident in our suite of products, and an educated consumer is our best customer.
That is so good, so good. And again, I would just say I piggyback what you said about if this is your first open season, make this your habit every open season. I know the temptations. I mean, we're all out here with our cell phones demanding our time. We've got family. You're working long hours. It's the holidays. It's easy to kind of get complacent and just let open season pass you by. But if you'll start off from the very beginning and make it a habit to pay attention and to learn the tools that are available or to get the contact numbers that's necessary for you to ask the right questions, then you're going to, your whole career can be totally different when you know that you've got the best health plan that's available for you. So once again, thank you for sharing that information. Now I'm going to go ahead and ask our next question.
Can I just follow up one thing on that? Just one follow up. Yeah, if you just think about yourself, I mean, what other part of your consumer experience would you simply put something on autopilot and not take a look at it, right? I mean, it's not typical. We all want to maximize the value of the dollars that we're spending. And this healthcare is usually one of the largest, regular expenses that we make. And therefore, again, I've been in healthcare for 35 years, and I know this could get complicated. And that's why organizations like ours are around to help navigate you through the process. But again, I just think about how you behave in other areas with dollars that you spend, especially at these times with, the economic conditions and inflation running where it is. I mean, this is even more of an impetus to say, I need to make every single dollar count.
That is such a good piggyback comment. Thank you for getting that in there. We've seen a lot of changes just about the time when we think, man, I've never seen so many changes. I mean, we just all went through, a decade of something brand new called healthcare.gov that changed our whole landscape in this area. And then, I can't begin to tell people that once again, create this habit, start this habit now of paying attention during open season, because I think the next decade is going to be full of nothing but changes, and it's going to behoove you. It's going to be to your best interest to pay attention, find out where your sources are, knowing that GEHA is so readily available to help you and to answer your questions. To me, that's a huge deal, because oftentimes we get up, we go to work, we come home, we get up, we go to work, come home, And then when something catastrophic happens with our health or something, it feels as though those people are so distant from us, when really and truly they're right here at our fingertips. They're as close as a website for you to get to, as close as a phone to pick up the phone. And actually, I encourage people all the time to contact their state's federal representative for GEHA and ask those specific questions that you have.
Yeah, and we to your point, we meet our members where they're at. So for prospective members, we absolutely take real live calls, and we still have that human touch for prospects to ask questions. But we also, have come along like others. We have a chat feature on our website. There's a texting availability if that's more helpful to you. And then we use Calendarly, where somebody can set up an individual video conference and go over their situation with a benefit rep and have them walk through it. And then, of course, there's the in-person where possible during open season at the various agencies and so forth. But trying to make it as easy as possible, because we know we know it's a complicated area, and we're doing everything we can to cut through that noise and their complications so that a federal employee can make the best decision for themselves and their family if they have one.
Well, once again, I think I've asked you 4 or 5 questions, and without fail, Art, you've provided me information that I've got almost 40 years a service time, retirement time under my belt. And with every question, you're sharing information that I never knew. We got to do this more often, I can just tell you.
Anytime, and anytime.
Well, the next few questions may seem redundant, but you're giving us so much information. I'm going to go ahead and ask these questions because I really want us to be very thorough for our audience. We are right in the middle of open season. This is the time when people are having to make their decisions. So I know that GEHA has been in the market for a while, as you said, a new fact for me, 86 years. but right now, what are you doing to ensure that you're offering plans with the best value possible?
Yeah, so a couple of things. If you look at GEHA, even if you go back just several years, we looked at where the marketplace was going and what the needs of federal employees were, and we've added new plans over the last several years. So one of them that we added was the high deductible plan. And I'm going to disclaimer here: I'm not a financial advisor, but and you could probably speak to it better than I. But the triple tax-free advantage of a high deductible plan, and your subscribers can look that up a little bit, and again speak to their financial advisor. But that was something we added because when we looked around, it was something that federal employees really wanted, and we have one of the fastest growing high deductible plans in the entire FEHB space. We also added Elevate, which is actually the default plan for those of you your subscribers that don't know what that means that because of our price point and benefit configuration, if somebody comes into the federal government and doesn't make an election in open season, they actually get put into the Elevate plan because we are the default national plan. And then on the FedVIP side, we are the largest provider of FedVIP. And so what that says is that we're listening to what our federal employees are looking for, and we're creating that suite of plans. Again, if you want, the highest level of coverage and pay a slightly larger premium, then there's the standard option. If you want that triple tax-free advantage and that works for you, we've got HDHP, and then if you want kind of that lower level of coverage, but at a premium that is also more significantly reduced, then we have Elevate. And there are a couple of other plans in between that, but I think the best thing I can say about the different plans is the fact that depending upon where you are, it's what we touched on just a little bit before. Depending upon where you are in your situation, we have a plan for you. And that didn't happen by accident. That happens because, as I said, we're a member led, member driven organization, and we want to make sure that we have the suite of products that federal employees not only want, but deserve.
Very good. Very good information. Well, we talked about those who are perhaps brand new. What would you tell somebody that's experiencing their first open season? But we also talked a little bit about those that can kind of get a little complacent. They haven't looked at their plan in several years, but really, truly thinking, Art, about this year in particular. I know my inbox has been inundated with I would say about 3 to 4 times more information about this open season than any of the ones in the past, say, 3 to 5 years. Is there something in particular about this year? Maybe it's that that average 8.7% increase that's been in the news. Perhaps that's what it is. But from your point of view, is there something in particular about this year, or a change maybe in benefits that's paid or something that you would like to inform the listeners to really pay particular attention to this open season?
It's just stretching that dollar. I think, that you mentioned the 8.7, that's an average. And so again, you need to do a little bit of homework because not every plan is increasing by that. And so don't just default to the average, or if you see a larger increase in your plan, then shop around a little bit and really understand. So I think that's part of it. And then I think, inflation and kind of economic circumstances, I think, are weighing heavily on everybody right now. And I think that is another thing that I hear. We're not tone deaf to that. And so I think it is also playing in the mind of federal employees in terms of, the impact that 8.7%, may have on them, which I sound a little bit like a broken record, but it goes to the point of you need to look around. You need to understand whether, you're getting a 10% and are there other plans or other opportunities for you to perhaps save differently.
That's so good. I mean, just reminding everybody that just because the news is touting an average, reminding everybody that average is not what is across the board. I can just tell you that the majority of the people that I talk to, they kind of take that as gospel. Oh, it's an 8.7% increase. And I love how you were able to explain that is not across the board. That is an average. And, to know that there's plans out there that it could have been an $18,000 a year increase. It's like, whoa, we've really got to pay attention to what's happening, even with the plan you currently have. And you've articulated that very well. I also, Art, love that you told us that in your position with the company that you represent, you're not tone deaf to the hardships, to the impact of inflation, the rising costs at all, and that you guys purposely gear your products and your plans accordingly to try to help your members. And that's just so important for people to know and understand when they're making their selections. So you also alluded to this, that one of your plans allows for a reimbursement. One of the reasons I want to go back to that, because once again, doing what I do, trying to educate people, I don't have the level of knowledge you have. I appreciate the fact you've educated me today in ways that I'll be able to help more people with. But one of the top things that I find out there is a lack of knowledge on that Medicare B reimbursement program. Is there any more information you'd like to share with that maybe just will help get that education out there a little bit more?
Yeah, it goes to the entire theme we've been talking about. I mean, you know, I don't want to come across to be saying, hey, nobody's looking around. It's a complicated space. So I do think people tend to default to what they have and maybe don't take as much time, or they get really overwhelmed in trying to figure it out and then make whatever choice they're going to make. Maybe they're just going to ask the person who's next to them, like, what do you have? And I'm just going to go with that. So I understand the space is complicated, and that's why we try to have so many different avenues of communication to try to demystify it a little bit for federal employees. But I understand that it is a complicated space.
Part of the reason why out of your busy schedule this time of year, you would take time to come on to a podcast here with us. So thank you for doing that. I so appreciate this. This has been so beneficial. I'm going to go back and re-listen, and I'm going to enumerate several topics that you brought up and facts I didn't know, and I'm going to add to what I already have available that I offer people out there just based on the education you gave me today, Art. Thank you for that. Do you have any closing comments before we end this?
I guess my closing comment would be just to pick up on a theme that you've mentioned several times, which is the value of education. And what I started this conversation off, I mean, we're not just a payer in the FEHB and FedBIP space. I mean, we're Aviva. We're a member-driven organization, member-focused organization. So anything that GEHA can do in this space to educate federal employees, that's what we're here for. And so I very much appreciate you giving me this opportunity to hopefully contribute a little bit to making it a little bit easier for federal employees to make choices in this space.
Without a doubt, if you're listening to this podcast or if you're watching this video, share. This is information that every federal, every postal employee and retiree needs to hear. There are tidbits in this that I would call gold nuggets. So share the information. If you've got questions, if you ask me questions about GEHA that I don't know, I've got some context now. I know who I can call, and I'll get the information for you. We want you to be educated. That's why we exist at Federal Employee Benefit Coordinators. We're here for you. You can call us on our toll-free number that's 833-693-3388, or just go to our website, www.febcnow.com. We have lots of free information, lots of educational information on that website, febcnow.com. So good luck with your open season. I know you're going to make the best decision ever on that. You guys have a great day.